What's going on, guys? This is my 2001 Toyota Tacoma. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I built this swing out tire carrier. We're going to do a step-by-step tutorial style video, and be sure to stick around to the end and I'll give you a closer look at the final product. Welcome back, guys. I know it's been a little while, but this is a project I've been wanting to do for quite a while now. And that is obviously the swing out for my 2001 Toyota Tacoma. Quickly, I'll go over everything I purchased to get started on this project. So I guess the big piece is this hinge kit. This is the kit from EMS Off-road. It seemed like the best bang for your buck kit that I could find. Most of them are over 200 bucks Canadian. This one was about 120 bucks, I think. Significantly cheaper than some of the other kits out there. Primary latch will be this guy. I can't remember what it's rated for. I want to say it's 1,000 pounds, maybe it's 800 pounds. That's my main latch. This will be kind of the secondary one that I'm gonna weld onto the barrel here. It's gonna latch it closed, but it'll also have maybe a couple of places where it latches the swing out open. That way I can have it fully open at 180 degrees or partially open at 90 degrees. So I will link all of this stuff in the description for you guys so that you can all check it out if you plan on doing something similar. First order of business, which might be one of the more difficult ones, will be getting this guy welded in straight so that my swing out arm swings out straight. So let's get started on that. All right, so here's what we've got going on. I've got this cut off here and I've got a nice big hole in here. So we're gonna stick this guy in. We'll get a nice big plug weld in there. Make sure it's 100% straight before we fully weld it, but that is the plan. Just to be safe, I did disconnect the battery. I've never really heard of the ECU getting fried, but just to be safe, I always disconnect the battery when I'm welding on the truck. All right, so we got some space put in here. We got about a 1/2 inch. And I don't know exactly how level the ground we are on is, so I'm leveling this based on the truck itself. This is our 2-inch steel, it's 1/8 inch wall, and I've got my angle finder zeroed out on here. And so when I put the angle finder on here, we got exactly 90 degrees. And when I put it here, I'll zero it out again here and stick this guy on there, and once again 90 degrees, so we know it's gonna swing out and not be, you know, crooked when we have it fully swung out. I'm not gonna lie, getting this spindle in here straight and everything was one of the parts of this that I was really dreading. I'm pretty limited with my fabrication skills, so I'm glad that it seems like I have this part of the project sorted out. So I've got my tube here. I'm gonna put this on here and trace that out and start cutting it up. So not too bad, little bit of gaps in there, but I don't think that's such a big deal. I've only got a 110 welder, so I think the more time I kind of spend burning these welds in, the better penetration I should get. Some other parameters I'm gonna set. I don't want the tire to sit too high or too low. Also, I don't want it to cover up my tail light. Probably the biggest tire I'm gonna have on this thing is going to be a 33. So if I divide that in half, I think I get 16 and a half, 17. I'll call it 17. I don't think I want the tire to come below this bar here. So at the very least, we probably want this bar going up to be about 17. So I think we'll go 40 inches on the swing out arm, and then we'll go from there. I've never owned one of these before, but this is one of the best purchases I've made. Could not do this project without a decent angle finder. I'm gonna link this guy in the description in case you guys wanna check it out. All right, so I'm kind of getting to the point where not having a latch over here is starting to hold me up and just, you know, make things difficult. This thing keeps swinging open when I don't want it to, that kind of a thing. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is going to get this latch welded on here, but I also need to weld a plate under here with, you know, a hole here for the latch and a hole back here for the latch. Maybe something on the side so I can open it 90 degrees and have it latched. I need my plate to be something along the lines of this here. It's going to slide in here, have a hole here, here, and one on the back that my latch can, you know, kind of pop into. So I built this sort of a resting pad for the end of the swing arm, and I built some like kind of sides for it as well, so that hopefully when I cinch it down with the latch, it kind of sits in that channel there. That's just kind of my thinking on this. So I've got a little piece here that's gonna connect to the spare tire. I'm not 100% sure on exactly where I want it sitting as far as how close to the truck. So I've got my plate here that the tire is gonna mount to. I'll weld these two together. It's gonna sit on an angle because I kind of like that look of the tire kind of sitting up on an angle like this. I'm gonna weld these together, tack it up onto the truck, and see how it fits with the tire. I don't think it could be more perfect. You can see the the tail light easily. This is not a 33, by the way. This is like probably a 31 and a half, but lots of room on the right, probably another 3 inches, maybe 4 inches before you'd ever come close to that tail light. The angle is super nice. Not too close to the back, but not too far away. little bit of room in here, just the perfect amount of room back there. Yeah, I am stoked about how this has gone together. I came out here for maybe an hour yesterday, got started, and then maybe spent 5-6 hours on it today. And it's basically at the point where all it needs is to be finish welded and painted. So obviously I'm going to take the bumper off, going to take the swing out off the bumper, fully weld everything off the truck, and then paint it all up. It's starting to get a little bit late now, so probably wrap up for the night, come back out tomorrow, and hopefully get paint on it by the end of the day tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. Plan for today, I want to get some sort of gusset in between here. I think I'm going to end up going with more of this 2-inch square tube. Wasn't my favorite idea because more welds in spots like this, I just know I'm not going to be able to do a great job of doing those kinds of welds, but it's really the only material that I have that I can use as an option. That's the first thing on the list today. After that, I think I'm going to be taking the bumper off, fully welding it, and prepping it for primer and then a bed liner. It'll be plenty strong. We'll see how my welds turn out in these tight corners, but got plenty more of those tight corner welds to do, so what's a couple more? That was a lot of welding. Didn't want to warp anything, so took it real slow. I'm gonna get on to grinding some of those welds down, and then we'll move on to paint. So when I painted my bumper the first time, I just went straight in with the bed liner. Probably not the right thing to do, because the issue I had was I thought I had full coverage, but with bed liner it's kind of porous, so you don't really get the best coverage with bed liner. So what I'm going to do this time with the swing out, I'm going to hit it with some black primer. That way if I don't get, full coverage, you won't really be able to tell because it'll be black underneath. With the bumper that was previously kind of rusty and still has a little bit of pitting and stuff, I'm going to put on some self-etching primer, then maybe some of the black primer, and then I'll do the bed liner. So primer first, then bed liner, because last time the results weren't the best. Alright guys, so here is the finished product. This here is the 2,000 pound latch. That's my primary latch. I've got a secondary latch on this side. I have it so it opens up to 2 different spots. Definitely my favorite project that I've done on this truck. Just want to go over a few things and just a few things about why I did this the way I did it. I wanted to have the tire on this side. I wanted to have it offset so that I get kind of maximum viewing out my rear window. But I also didn't want it too low because I don't like the look of it, you know, hanging down below here. So I think I got a perfect kind of happy medium to like make it look good and nice and, you know, elevated, but also not blocking, you know, my entire rear window. If you come around to this side, I got the perfect amount of space back here. A lot of times guys will make it super tight and then their swing out is hitting on the back of their tailgate. This I feel like the perfect amount of wiggle room back there, and I got a nice angle on the spare tire. It's not just, you know, flat. So that's another thing I like about it. I mounted the hinge kit on the passenger side so that obviously in an emergency scenario where I had to pull off the highway and I need to get something out of the back of my truck, it swings out towards the ditch and not into traffic. Obviously, I'm a long way from my tiny little tool shed that I built this thing in. I took it on about a 500-mile trip to my parents' place, and this thing held up amazing. No rattling, no wiggling around. This thing is super stout. It doesn't budge. These latches and just the build on this, I have no worries about this thing, you know, rattling as I'm driving down the road or off-roading or whatever. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys a final look at this project, and I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.